Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Aamchi Stars. We've started Aamchi Legends a couple of months back, and now we have the Aamchi Stars, where we interview, we meet, we get to know a lot more about the new generation, the youngsters, the guys who are in the startup, and very talented guys from our community. And one of them joining us today is Arjun Hemmady. Hi, Arjun, and welcome to Aamchi Stars.
Hello, Santosh. Good morning. How are you
Hi,
doing?
all well?
Thanks for the opportunity.
Most welcome. So today in Aamchi Stars, we have Arjun. Now, Arjun is a full-time finance professional. Having said that, he has given a lot of time for and pursuing his passion, his hobby, which is into writing. And he's written two novels, the last one being Captain Caduce. And he also is a freelance sports journalist for the Daily Guardian. So, Arjun, welcome once again on Aamchi Stars. And the first thing one would love to know, and of course, and how can I miss that? He is also an Aamchi Talmakiwadi homegrown talent. So that's what is Arjun for us. So, Arjun, tell us what really led you to write, think about writing. Was that something that you've been into ever since schooling?
Yes, I have been writing since my school days. I
Mm-hmm.
went to St. Mary's ICSE school and like over here in Mazgaon. And I would write articles and I would send them to the school magazine. But for some reason, they would never get selected. They would say that they
Mm-hmm.
would not meet the standard for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason. I don't know. So then I after my 10th standard, I had written a story and I showed it to Bipin Mam, who lives like
Yeah.
in Wadi. So he had also appreciated that story. So that was a fiction idea that I had, and he appreciated the story, and he also gave me a handwritten note, which I would like to show. So this is the handwritten note which Bipin Mam had given me.
Uh-huh. That's nice
This
to
was
read.
back
Okay.
in 2005. So I've
Okay.
treasured it. I've kept it. It's a treasure which is very close to my heart. That was the first time where I thought that I had some talent in this field,
Okay.
some
That's
like
good.
coming from somebody of the stature of Bipin Mam.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I started writing in the like in the KSA magazine, Canara Saraswat magazine. My first article must have come out in I think 2010. I would write on any article which came to my mind. So after that, I thought that okay, what is the next step? I thought that I should write a novel. So I got my first idea in around 2012 when I wrote my first novel, and
Okay.
then things kind of went on from there.
Okay, that's interesting. In fact, you mentioned about Bipin. I must share this that Bipin has been a lucky mascot, not just for our community, but even for Aamchi Legends, because he was the first one who featured on our first episode. And now, where he motivated you, encouraged you, and now you are on the Aamchi Stars. What I also wanted to know, and I'm sure our audience would love to know, is your dad, Dr. Sanjay Hemmady. He was a truly very simple, very
Yeah,
nice person, and we know, we as patients would call upon him for, for whatever medical reasons, and he
yeah,
would never ever say no, and he would come, and he would opine his views on his phone,
yes,
through the phone.
yes.
What inspired to did your dad have an opportunity to know about your writing skills?
Yes, actually, he had a very instrumental role. With I think without him knowing it, I think
Mm-hmm.
my father, according to me, he was the best doctor who I knew.
Mm-hmm.
He had a way of simplifying things in a lot of ways. I remember I would purposely sit, like to see him treat his patients at times. Who would come for him, come to him for treatment, and he had a very beautiful way of telling the symptoms and the diagnosis in a very simple layman terms, so that so that they could understand.
Yeah.
So I think that was something which he always he always told us, like Kalyani, my sister, and
Yeah.
also myself,
Yeah.
that whatever you do, write it in a simple term so that the person in front of you has no questions. So I think that is something which unconsciously has come through my writing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told that my writing has a very simple style. Now, I never intended for it to have a simple style, but it just came across that way. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that is one thing, and he always encouraged me. He told me that I have a talent for this. He recognized the talent, and so that I should continue working towards that. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, I've dedicated this second novel, Captain Khadus, to my father.
Uh-huh.
Large part of it goes to my father also.
Okay, okay, that's interesting to know. So let's come to the novel, Captain Kharoos. It's all about cricket, and what is
Yes,
interesting is the central character is an Amchi. I think
yes,
the name that goes by Suraj Bhatkar. Can you
yes,
share a
yes,
few
yes.
more? What exactly led to this Suraj Bhatkar as your central character, and what is the book all about?
Well, Well, the first name Suraj, I think I've not told this to many people, but when I was working in a few companies, people were under the impression that my name is Suraj.
Okay,
And they used to
interesting.
call me Suraj also, which I don't know why, but I would tell them that my name is Arjun, but still they'd call me Suraj.
Mhm.
So I think I wanted that name Suraj to be there. And Bhatkal, I don't know, it just happened. I thought that, like hum kisi se kam nahi. I thought that why not? It's a good way of,
Absolutely.
people have their own, yeah, people have characters from their own community. And I thought that I wanted somebody from our community as well. And I always imagined that the character would like live in Gamdevi over here, Gamdevi colony over here.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it came across in the novel, but that's what, writer has his own thinking, right?
Hmm.
He
Yeah,
would imagine certain scenes and everything. So
yeah.
I'd imagine it like that. So that was the thinking behind it.
Absolutely. That's really good to know. Another very key and a very important message, the underlying message of this book is the focus on mental health and depression.
Yeah.
You brought out
Yes.
very wonderfully, you've crafted that very wonderfully, where we all know cricket is a passion. I mean, it's India's national favorite pastime, but at the same time, a very serious issue has been brought out. How have you been able to bring that out of through this book, and what was the thought behind this?
See, I mean, depression, especially mental health, and especially depression, is a very I think it is very prevalent in India, unfortunately, but
Hmm.
people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I've gone through it a couple of times. I've gone through it a
Hmm.
few times, and it really changes a person.
Yeah.
And it's not spoken about a lot. And
Yeah.
I thought about this backstory to the novel of depression in 2011 when I first got the idea. That time nobody
Okay.
used to talk much about
Yeah.
depression, etc.
Yeah.
But so I thought of having it at that time. It's a very personal struggle for me.
Hmm.
It has really changed me as a person. I'm not the same person as I was before I went through that. But see, I wanted to show through this novel that people who have suffered from depression are not weak people. I think
Okay.
that is something which people at times misunderstand. They say
Hmm.
that, he's suffering from depression, he's weak and everything. I think that people who suffer from depression are very strong people because they have the courage like to face that. It's a very difficult and very disturbing thing to go through.
Mm.
So that is something which I thought that I should write through the story.
Absolutely, really good to know that. As a sports writer and someone who has keenly followed cricket over the years, what are your views on this recent India-Australia series? In fact, it's said that it's one of the greatest victories of all time for Team India.
I will wholeheartedly agree with that. I would rate this as the greatest win for Team India across all formats. I would even rate this definitely higher than 2011 because
Mm.
2011 was a team full of stars.
Yeah.
Um, I will go on. I'll take a chance and go out on a limb and say that this is even greater than the 83 win
Hmm.
because 83 had established cricketers on the side.
Hmm.
Like Sunil Gavaskar was there for more than 12 years on the side. Mohinder Amarnath, Kapil Dev was around for a few years. Roger Binney, Yashpal Sharma, Madan Lal. All these players were there for a few years and they were established players.
Yeah.
Well, this, especially our bowling lineup, we were a weak bowling lineup to put it very frankly.
Yeah.
They had, I mean, the talent was well known, but only 12 wickets among the, I think, 12 wickets among the 12 or 14 wickets among the, like among all the bowlers, and two out of them were for a non-bowler like Rohit Sharma.
Yeah.
I mean, bowling out Australia twice was a monumental achievement, and I remember watching that match, and I could not believe what was happening. I
Absolutely.
think that the go for it attitude that it really inspired me.
True. True.
That it was a very very inspirational moment for I think all Indians and especially for me.
Yeah. I would love to know who are your top five Indian cricket captains if you were to rank them.
Okay, so just a disclaimer: this is going to be a little controversial because I've taken a few names, but
Of course, it's
anyway,
your
and left
choice.
out a
Yeah.
few names also.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first best captain for India, according to me, is Mr. Pataudi
Hmm.
because he brought in a sense of Indianness. It is said that at that time, the players would have their first loyalty towards their state associations.
Yeah.
So while Mr. Pataudi had sat down all the players, it is said, and told them that, what, forget all your associations and everything, you're playing for India first.
Mm.
So that is why I rate him as number one. Number two, I'll rate Ajinkya Rahane, though it is early in his captaincy and he's a stand-in captain. But the way he led an inexperienced side in India in the recent series, I think that makes him number two. Number 3 would be Anil Kumble, because of the way that he led India in the acronymous 2007-8 series in Australia without losing his cool. He was very assertive, and he never backed down also, but he never lost his temper also beyond the point. That. And number 4 and 5 is a little difficult, but I think 4 would be Saurav Ganguly, because of what he did for the Indian team post the match fixing scandal. Number 5 would be Rahul Dravid, because of the way he led the team during the Chappell era, and also winning a series in England in 2007, which he not been able to do after that.
Yeah.
And honorable mention, I'll put it out there, I'll say MS Dhoni, just so that all the MS Dhoni fans don't get angry at me.
Politically correct.
Politically correct.
Agree. Okay, I also wanted to know, I know that your book, Captain Khadus, has sold amazing number of copies, but one still doesn't want to buy. How does one go and buy the book? How does one get the book?
Yes, the book is available on Amazon, especially in India. It's available on Amazon for hard copy. Kindle also is available all over the world on Amazon Kindle. It's also available on Kindle Unlimited. So if you go on Amazon and type Captain Khadus, all those options are available for me. Yeah.
All right. I also wanted to know, and I'm sure our listeners and our audience is very keen to know, is at such a young age you're writing this book. I'm sure you have received tremendous support and guidance from the publishers, the book writing fraternity. Can you share a little more about that?
Yes. Santosh, actually, I'll say that I'm very proud to say that I'm not a self-made man. A lot of people have been there to guide me and support me along the way. So the first person who comes to my mind in my writing journey is Neil De Silva. He's India's #1 horror writer. I knew him from the launch of my first novel, and he's always been there. Any upcoming Indian writer would always say that Neil De Silva has played a very pivotal role in their writing career. And second person I mean very close to me is Sohail Mathur of the Book Bakers Literary Agency. He's my literary agent, and I met him in 2018 through Neil. Neil introduced me to him. So I had narrated the story to him, and he found it interesting, and he said that he'd like to represent me as my literary agent. So he's one person who I owe a lot of my success to. And then it comes to my publishers, Appreciate Books. They have been absolutely amazing. I think right from Vineet Bajpai. Vineet Bajpai is the like he runs the book like Appreciate Books. He runs that, and then Ruchika Khanna, who's the manager, who interacts with me on a daily basis for the projects. The editor that I had, Harini Srinivasan, I think absolutely fantastic editor that I had. So no complaints. I think because of all of these people, I think Captain Khadus has become what it has been so far, and I share all the success that I have with them.
Indeed, great. Any message for there are so many upcoming writers, budding guys who are already writing, but they don't know how to go about with it. If there's something that you can share for them.
Yes, I think it's very important to read one's own work. I think I think a writer should be one's own first and foremost. One should be one's own editor first. Sometimes we write things and we are like, we get disgusted with what you have written. That is very normal. I go through that every time I write myself. But one has to be courageous enough to face that. And among other things, I think when the book comes out, you will get a lot of criticism, a lot of praise also. I think that time it was important to know what the strengths and weaknesses of one's own writing are. So that, for example, with my novel Captain Khadus, I thought that the editing was the strong point. So that when you see, every criticism is not genuine, which is very unfortunate. Some people just give gyan in a way,
for the heck of it.
It's not for the heck of it. They get a kick out of it, maybe, I don't know. So when somebody criticizes what you think is a strong point of a novel, you will realize that, okay, this guy is just saying it for the sake of it. While I still have people who are very close to me, who are my beta readers in a way. I show my work to them, and I take those criticisms and suggestions very seriously. Otherwise, I depend on my own instincts.
Absolutely.
So, and after that, I think in spite of doing everything right, even if the book does not do as well, it's important not to write oneself off and just continue writing.
Mhm. Agree. That's really the important message. Continue writing, and you know, Arjun, this is something which I can connect with you because you know you have also you know your BAU, which is your bread and butter, which is your finance job, which you are
Yeah,
continuing at the same time pursuing your hobby, your passion. I'm sure it motivates. It works both ways, right? And that's
yeah.
something that really keeps you going. So I can completely understand, you know, how passionate it must be to write a book, and where do you find this time? That's more important. I need to know this.
See, with a passion, it's very important to have a passion. I think
Mm,
everybody does not have a passion, which is a very unfortunate thing. But if you do, if you're one of the people who has a passion, so finding time is very easy.
yeah.
I think you will always find some time, after work, before
Correct.
work, you will find time. I don't write during my office hours. That's a very personal thing for me. I
Hmm.
take my work very seriously and I work hard.
Hmm.
Finance has long working hours, so can't
Absolutely.
I don't
Yeah.
complain about that.
Yeah.
That's part of life, anyways. But I mean, I get up in the morning after my whatever routines that I have. I sit down and write sometimes. After my office work, if I have any idea, I'll jot it down during the day and I'll write it after work. I think that's important. Passion is something which keeps on motivated and keeps makes life a bit happy and jovial.
True. Before we wrap up, I just when I heard about your first of this book, right, and I knew that you had moved into writing as a passion. There's something that struck me, you know, and I
Yeah.
can connect that because I think for you and your family, this whole thing has come up like a full circle, you know, because I very distinctly remember your grandmom. Suniti Pachi, and even your Raju, you know, very much
Yeah.
associated with Canara Saraswat Association Library. And why so? Because I was the library secretary when we were actually making the library secretary. I think it was really late 80s, and they guided us, you know, because she had that experience. And I recall
Yes.
visiting the House of Soviet Culture where she was the chief librarian, and you know, she helped us in actually working out this whole library and rolling it out, implementing it. So and then now you're writing this book. I mean, for me, I think I look at it from a different angle, Arjun. So yeah, it's amazing to know, and all the very best in days ahead, in weeks ahead, in years ahead. And we would love to see you an established. You are already, but a lot more. And you know, represent our community in the field of writing. All the very very best to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, so that was Arjun Hemmady, a truly, as I said, a Talmaki Wadi boy, a very budding talent in our community. We wish him all the very best. And well, thanks so much for joining us on our episode one, or the first episode of Aamchi Stars. We look forward to your suggestions, your emails, and have more such talent being you know, showcased in all our Aamchi Stars and even our Aamchi Legends show. From me, Santosh Sirur, bye for now.